So, these treaties of the tribe include tribal common law over all general civil claims which arise within the tribal jurisdiction, and over all transitory claims in which the defendant may be served within the tribal jurisdiction. So where is tribal jurisdiction when this is Indian country? So again, who has jurisdiction over who? Now look at the Constitution, the laws or treaties of the tribe. So the treaties guarantee to apply our ceremonial law. So let's go here to law to be applied. The court shall apply the tribal constitution and the provisions of all statutory law heretofore or hereafter adopted by the tribe. In matters not covered by tribal statute, the court shall apply traditional tribal customs and usages, which shall be called the common law. So when in doubt as to the tribal common law, the court may request the advice of counselors and tribal elders familiar with them. In any dispute not covered by the tribal constitution, the tribal statute or tribal common law, the court may apply any laws of the United States or any state which would be cognizable in the courts of general jurisdiction. Okay, so that's what they do. They jump right to that for the state to jump in, which is Oklahoma DHS, to abduct your children. And now this is how they do that. All right. Let me put this on low power mode. So they do this by incorporating the indigenous people without our consent. So what does that look like without our consent? 1929, they made the indigenous people citizens of the United States of America Incorporation, Inc., USA, Inc., not America, not United States of America, just USA, Inc. So how they did it was comparative to the non-indigenous people. Today, look at your driver's license, and you'll notice that it's all capital letters, because that's a business or a tombstone. But that's the only two places you find on Mother Earth, all capital letters. So, to us indigenous people who have, for me, I have a Shawnee name and a Kickapoo name, but to those who know the truth, Kickapoos are Shawnees. So, if you can't follow me on that, you can pick up a book, which I have over here, actually. It's got my grandma Lily and some of my family members in it. So this here, and it's sad that you have to bring documentation even into your own people to believe that you're valid and true to say who you are. You know, you should be able to be who you are by the way you are presenting your people in the faith that we have. So here at the tribal courts, they use state infiltration through a corporation / governor, I call him a tax collector, that doesn't support or fend for the people as this Constitution or the bylaws or even the law to apply here in the courts. So again, why is this important? It's important even for the non-indigenous to come here to this court because it has common law. Common law is very reciprocity amongst people that are in this dilemma. It could be as, will you forgive me? Or let me work it off. And it takes out a judge and other people at different levels. It's just a flat level, person to person, to agree on something. And it'll be a null and void right then. Okay? So the court wants to have you to answer for the corporate name, which has these corporate bylaws in here to trap the people to think that this is their government. Okay, when Creator is our government and this corporation is supposed to fend for those laws and for us original people, not those who've applied, okay? there's application process to get on our corporate roll, but not on the Dawes treaty roll, okay? So if you weren't able to get the law degree from the University of Oklahoma that I was gifted to get and obtain for the people, that's why I'm using these platforms now, because it's very difficult to get employment when you see the fraud. And if you are the people, you can only stand for truth. So what do you do? Well, I've served the federal courts 3 times the crimes, and they kept on trying to say I'm pro se. I don't let them speak on the behalf of Indian country. Okay, I'm not pro se. I'm doing what our treaty says. It says to tell you about the crimes and the people who are doing it and for you to get them. Now, also in the Treaty of Greenville in Article 7 and 10, it says to get them bad people out of Indian country to the nearest post, marshal's office or magistrate. So, again, here I was a federal law enforcer, you could say. I was pretty much, I would say we, because my team, Duty Section 1, South Padre Island, Law Enforcement Attachment. That's my people, man. Goodness. It's a small family at that station. But the family of the Coast Guard is very big. Small branch of service, but that family is big. But the subsection that I'm talking about, to know about the federal laws to be applied that have been imposed on the people who carry all capital letters in their wallet. So lawful information is different than legal advice. Lawfully, you can inform them that you're not a corporation. You're actually a person that has a first and middle name with a family last name. That doesn't belong to you. It belongs to your family. Like my last name they've given me, that they tricked me into thinking that is me, actually isn't. It belongs to my people. It's actually a Shawnee language they chopped up. Kasika, I meant to stay over. But the government said, Kasika. However, it's still not anything that I would recognize as who I am, other than how they say at the boarding school that to do business out here in America, they're going to give you a Social Security card. He said, but that's not you. You have an indigenous name, a creator's name that he calls you is different than this piece of paper and number associated that they're going to give you when you grow up. They're going to tell you you need to get to obtain these documents in order to operate out here in their world. But don't lose yourself of who you are. So for the indigenous people such as me and maybe my older cousins, or those who grew up at the same grounds as I did, or had grandparents who were ceremonial great-grandparents who were positions of authority within the tribal people. Now, the tribal people is different than those carrying cards. And the tribal government is that which is before brick and mortar, or before this little corporation here who steals that tribal government entity as a matrix. So here's the red pill, and here's the blue pill. Now, it's up to you. Who will you serve and who you will believe? Now, this corporation here is supposed to fend for your belief. So with the Supreme Court in the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978, it has been a failure. That's why they made the 1982 Oklahoma Indian Child Welfare Act, to where I want to try to promote that in some kind of way, fashion, or form on maybe a powwow or a stomp dance, or I'm going to make some T-shirts with OICWA and put some treaties along that people can support. If you want to help and support that, you can also check out my profile and check on the web page. Now, I haven't really finished up the web page on it. One Nation has many facets of, I don't know, we're everywhere. The Indian Network. So you can Google theindiannetwork.net, and that's THENDNETWORK.net. And there you can check out the web page. I got to touch it up, but there's a place where you can donate or to support OICWA, and you'll see there's going to be some apparel Also, if you want to follow along, I have the Code of Laws, so you can purchase to follow along. But they're also lawful information that you, if you're a shareholder such as me with the IIM account and fighting against the imposter courts, you must have this. There's no way that you can deny the truth any longer. For the Supreme Court does not know the treaties like they should. So again, why this is important is that it has common law here at this court too. That means anybody can come here and have a common law, which is pretty much in America a biblical law. Do unto others as you want done unto you, or love your enemy, and all that good stuff in that good book, because it's a good book. So, Code of Laws, protect your children. Follow us on, I'm on TikTok Live now. I have this podcast. I got a Facebook page, so you can follow One Nation Indigenous Peoples Law. I'll try to post this up on there as I'm learning how to use these different platforms. Also, you can look at TikTok. I'm Mick James Biscuit. Yeah, that's funny. So stay in touch with your elders with this winter season if you're here in Oklahoma or beyond, northerly, because it's been getting cold here in Oklahoma where, man, it was below the zeros here. Again, YouTube some of this information. We're on there too as Viral One Nation. We're trying to get the information from TikTok, try to get a consensus and how to distribute this information about the Oklahoma Indian Child Welfare Act, how it is different from 1982, how it protects the culture of the children that the corporations are not doing here in Oklahoma, because it's all just fraud. So how do I do it? I don't know. It's nothing I sought out to do. It was just something that needs to be done. And in this Code of Laws, it has a tribal prosecutor that they're supposed to report to and adhere to all the ceremonial ways. And they've yet to do that. So the next thing to do is get to the Supreme Court and report the crimes and try to get a hold of the Secretary of Interior again, because our attempts have been, they returned void so far. So anyway, people, I better sign on off. It's about that time. So peace and fried bread grease. I'm Mick James Biscuit for One Nation, the Indian Network for Indigenous Peoples Law, Economic Development, Business Startup, Podcast, Media, and so much more. Yahweh Maru. Aho.